11 years ago, almost to the day, Lehman Brothers collapsed in what would become one of the worst liquidity crises of all time. And right now in China, a near identical event could be happening that would affect the worldwide economy, much like the Great Recession. You've probably been hearing a lot about Evergrande, the absolutely gigantic real estate firm based in China that might be about to collapse and leave a wake of devastation behind it. There have been an awful lot of people likening what's happening in China right now to what happened in the US in 2008, and this has obviously got a lot of people worrying. But the truth is, the problems with Evergrande and China don't just start with real estate, and they don't end there either. It turns out that the Chinese economy is based on debt just like ours is, and when debt gets out of control, when bankers get greedy and corrupt governments fail to take action, economic turmoil almost always lies in wait. Now, much like the Archegos collapse earlier in the year, I know that a lot of people might be seeing Evergrande in the title of articles right now, but there's so much background information and nuance at play here that many people still don't really know what's going on. But that's what this video is about today. I'm going to do my best to explain the ticking time bomb that's propping up the Chinese economy and what this all might lead to. But first, if you're new here, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We're putting out loads of content just like this constantly that you don't want to miss out on. So what is Evergrande? Well, it's the second largest real estate firm in China, and that makes it pretty huge. Back in 2018, it was the most valuable real estate company in the world. So when we're talking about Evergrande, we're not talking about Grant Cardone and some medium-sized apartment complexes. We're talking about billion-dollar buildings like this skyscraper, or this skyscraper, or this skyscraper. The company is absolutely huge, and that's one of the reasons it's been in the news so much right now. Another thing to note is that real estate and property in China is just as much an investment as it is a place to live. Chinese citizens don't really like investing in stocks too much, and there are a bunch of government regulations that basically make it imperative to buy an apartment as a way of saving for your retirement. As a result of this, the property market has blown up in the last couple of decades, and it's in a ridiculous bubble. You might have seen the ghost towns in certain cities online, where skyscrapers are completely empty and no one lives in them, and while they do exist, those homes have owners, they just don't have inhabitants. The chairman of Evergrande is this guy, Zhu, and he's pretty well connected. A few years ago, an investor called Andrew Left was punished by the CCP for publishing a report that was highly critical of Evergrande and its debt obligations. He was punished on the basis that he was lying, which we can obviously see today was not the case. Zhu is one of the richest people in China and can constantly be seen in very valuable seats at CCP party events, and it's assumed that he is on good terms with the CCP, though there's no knowing how long that might last. So if that's who Evergrande are, why are they in trouble? Well, it's a tale as old as time. Evergrande took out huge amounts of debt to finance construction of its projects and to fuel monstrous growth. And this seemed to work for a time. The company wasn't even in the top 10 real estate developers in China before 2010, but today it's the second largest. Sadly, those who ran the company have been irresponsible and they can't afford to pay their debts. Unfortunately, this isn't a small problem. They have over $300 billion worth of debt, which is more than the country of Portugal. By next April, Evergrande is due to repay over $4 billion of interest alone. This also isn't the first time they've had problems paying their debt. A similar situation emerged at the end of 2020 when they were unable to pay $13 billion that was due. In the end, they managed to convince the debtors to exchange their debt for equity in the company, a decision that I'm sure they're regretting now. The problem is, they have billions more to pay and no cash to hand out. On the surface, it appears as though they should have some options here, like releasing more shares. But in reality, that wouldn't really work because the share price of the company has taken a monumental dive recently. The stock is down 80% from the beginning of the year and 90% from its all-time high. So any shares they do release would only end up getting them pennies on the dollar. Some might suggest that they just need to issue more debt, but because of the state of the company, they can only release junk bonds, which is exactly what it sounds like. They are bonds that have a very high chance of default, so they demand a huge discount, and even then, they still struggle to find buyers. As of yesterday, Evergrande's junk bonds were trading at 25 cents on the dollar, and it was at that point that trading of said bonds was suspended. Obviously, this isn't good news, and it's reminiscent of what happened in the US in 2008. It turns out that contrary to what a lot of the CCP shills here on YouTube will say, China is a debt-based economy just like the West. Now, if you're watching this video, you're probably like me, you believe in decentralized finance, and if you believe that the current financial system doesn't work, that companies like Lehman Brothers and Evergrande shouldn't be allowed to behave as they do, then you need to hear about this video's sponsor, Oasis, and their Vault. Now, an Oasis Vault is the easiest way to interact with decentralized finance and specifically make a DAO. Setting up a vault with Oasis allows you to take out CDOs or collateralized debt obligations. Basically a loan backed against the value of an asset that you put up as collateral. Just like a mortgage backed against the value of your home or a loan backed against the value of your car. Only here, the collateral is Ethereum or another token based on the Ethereum network like wrapped Bitcoin. It's really easy to set up. You click on the link in the description of this video or go to www.oasis.app and download it. The website walks you right through the process. You just create a vault, connect your wallet of choice, and then you can go about getting a loan backed against your assets without ever having to deal with a bank or a centralized financial institution. Oasis are spearheading the drive towards decentralized finance. And if this sounds interesting to you, if DeFi matters to you at all, then I seriously suggest you check them out. So if Evergrande is in a bad state, what could end up happening? Well, the first thing to note is that a government bailout by the CCP is very likely. Obviously, letting one of the biggest companies in the country collapse would not be a good look for the CCP, and it would probably cause some major animosity for them. They don't want that. They want to remain popular amongst Chinese citizens, and allowing Evergrande to collapse would make that very difficult. The nature of a CCP bailout could look a couple of different ways. In the past, when companies have been over-leveraged and they've needed the help of the CCP, the government has taken control of the business as an intermediary and basically protected and stabilized the company until it can merge with a competitor. This could happen here, but the chairman Zhu doesn't seem to like the idea of reducing his control or ownership, and to be honest, I'm not sure which other company would be mad enough to want to merge with Evergrande. Alternatively, the CCP could take over completely. They could make Evergrande state-owned and take care of the debts themselves. This would probably be quite popular amongst the citizens of China, as they would be seen as coming to the rescue, but it would also probably be a sign of more severe regulation to come. They've already nationalized the education industry on the basis that teaching should not be done for profit, and the CCP have been outspoken in saying that houses are to be lived in, they shouldn't be investments. So I don't think it's beyond the realm of possibility that real estate is the next target for heavy CCP regulation. Outside of a government bailout, there isn't much hope. Evergrande do have some ownership in other companies like electric vehicle makers, but they've already sold off their biggest and best ventures, and all they're really left with now are a water bottle manufacturer and a tourism company, neither of which are worth even close to the $300 billion they have in debt. I've already explained why their junk bonds don't present much of a solution, and the company's pitiful share price is much in the same boat. Their only real option besides a bailout is a fire sale of their real estate projects. Now, they would miss out on all their future profits from these projects, and they would have to let their assets go at pretty large discounts. But they do have billions of dollars tied up in unfinished real estate projects that could probably save the company. So if those are the only two real options, a government bailout or a fire sale, then what will happen if the company is allowed to fail? Well, in short, it wouldn't be good. Straight away, there are 1.5 million Chinese who have paid for an apartment from Evergrande before the apartments exist. They would all be left without the homes that they paid for. On top of that, $300 billion of debt would go unpaid. Most of the owners of Evergrande's debt are banks, and if Evergrande was to go under, at least one major Chinese bank would collapse as well. In reality, there would probably be a fair few bank failures. A run on the banks would probably start, as Chinese citizens would lose faith in their ability to retrieve their money, and those banks that don't collapse would have to tighten up their lending policy as much as they could. This would basically just be the Chinese 2008 or the Chinese financial crisis. But just like 2008, it won't be just China that suffers. There are international investors all over China. Even BlackRock is invested in Evergrande. The consequences would be worldwide, and while maybe not as severe as 2008, we would almost definitely be looking at another credit crunch, another recession, another financial crisis. Evergrande's rivals have also been struggling as the potential for a liquidity crisis increases in China, causing their share prices to fall between 30 and 60% as well. The truth is though, the CCP is well aware of what is going on, and they know the consequences of letting Evergrande fail would be huge. The only thing that is stopping them from bailing them out right now is the fact that they don't want to incentivize behavior like this in the future. The CCP also just announced that Evergrande will not have to pay interest on its debt next week, so it looks like the CCP have already made their decision. I know that I've already made it clear that I will not be investing in China anytime soon, and all this nonsense has only strengthened my position. On the bright side, there's never been a better advertisement for humanity's movement towards decentralized finance than a financial crisis like 2008 and like what might be happening right now. If you're new to the channel and you enjoyed this video, then make sure to subscribe. If you want to help spread the word, then consider liking the video and leaving a comment, and YouTube will do its part by pushing this video out to more people just like you. I really do appreciate all the support you guys give the channel, even if it's just leaving a like. Also, make sure to check out this video's sponsor, Oasis. Down below, there's a link to my favorite brokerage called eToro, where you can trade stocks and shares, crypto, commodities, foreign currencies, and more, all for 0% commission. There's also a link down below in the description to BlockFi, where you can get up to $250 in free Bitcoin, and you can earn interest on whatever crypto you hold. Whether it's Bitcoin, Ether, or stable coins, you can earn as much as 14% interest a year. I have also started up a second channel, which is going to be focused more on macroeconomics and the housing market and big ticket stuff like that. It's called Stoic Finance 2, and I've just set up a crypto channel called Stoic Crypto, so make sure to check those out as well. Finally, I am working on setting up my own website and a Patreon where I'll post articles and videos in the future. Thanks for all the support. Thanks for watching. Until next time.